Hi everyone, this is Dr. Ravindra Maradi, Professor in the Department of Biochemistry, Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about calcium metabolism. The specific learning objectives in this lecture are: we need to explain the functions of calcium, dietary sources and recommended dietary allowance, and also describe the factors regulating blood calcium level. Minerals are classified into two groups, macrominerals and microminerals. In this, calcium falls under the macromineral group. That means the requirement of calcium is more than 100 milligram per day. Those are all grouped under macrominerals. Along with calcium, there are chloride, potassium, phosphorus, sodium, magnesium and sulfur. All the requirement is more than 100 milligram per day and they are all grouped under macrominerals. Whereas, if the requirement is less than 100 milligram per day, those are called microminerals. Examples are iron, iodine, copper, zinc, manganese, selenium and fluoride. The body total calcium is around 1 to 1.5 kilogram. Out of that, 99% is present in the bones and teeth in the skeletal system and 1% is present in the blood. In that 1%, 45% is bound to proteins and another 10% is bound to phosphate and citrate, and the remaining 45% is free ionized form which is used for biological functions. The important source for calcium is milk. The cow milk, 100 ml of cow milk contains around 100 milligram of calcium. It is a very rich source of calcium, whereas egg, fish and vegetables have moderate amount of calcium, whereas cereals in the form of wheat and rice, they are very poor in calcium, but in Indian diet we consume lot of cereals and this becomes an important source of calcium in context to the Indian diet. The daily requirement of calcium for the adults is around 1000 milligram per day, whereas it increases to 1200 milligram for children because of the growth, and also in case of pregnancy and lactation the requirement is around 1500 milligram. As the fetus is growing, it requires more of the calcium. Coming to the mechanism of absorption of calcium, calcium absorption takes place in the small intestine, basically in the duodenum. Here there is a protein required for the calcium absorption, that is called calbindin, and this protein synthesis is influenced by the vitamin D. The active form of vitamin D, that is calcitriol, increases the production of calbindin and enhances the absorption of the calcium in the intestine. And this the absorption is about active transport. That means the absorption takes place against the concentration gradient and requires energy, and it requires a carrier protein for its action. Factors that affect the calcium absorption, few of the factors they increase the absorption and few of them they decrease the absorption. The factors that are increasing the calcium absorption are vitamin D. Vitamin D helps in absorption of the calcium in the intestine, basically by increasing the production of calbindin protein. Parathyroid hormone also increases the absorption of calcium indirectly, which stimulates the synthesis of active form of vitamin D, and then vitamin D will increase the calbindin production and increases the absorption of calcium. Acidity and few of the amino acids like lysine and arginine enhance the absorption of calcium in the intestine. Here the calcitriol that is produced in the intestine it will binds to the calcitriol receptors in the intestinal cells and forms calcitriol receptor complex, which goes and binds to the DNA and increases the transcription and translation of the calbindin protein. The increased production of calbindin will bind to the calcium and increases its absorption in the intestine. That is how calcitriol increases calcium absorption. Factors affecting decreasing the absorption of the calcium are phytic acid, which interferes with the absorption of calcium in the intestine. Oxalates form calcium crystals, calcium oxalate crystals, and decreases the absorption of calcium. Whereas malabsorption syndromes, they decrease the absorption because here the free fatty acids bind with the calcium and forms precipitates and inhibits its absorption. Phosphates also binds with calcium to form calcium phosphate precipitates and decreases the absorption of the calcium. Coming to the functions of calcium, one of the important function of calcium is activation of the enzymes. Here the calcium and calmodulin complex will enhance, will form the active form of kinases. Kinases are converted, inactive kinases are converted into active kinases by calcium bound calmodulin, and this active kinase will make an inactive enzyme into phosphorylated form of an enzyme. It helps to add a phosphate group to the enzyme, and the few of the enzymes they become active and they will produce the biological effect. So, activation of enzymes by calcium calmodulin by the phosphorylation and making them active. Few of the enzymes which are activated by calcium and calmodulin are adenylate cyclase, glycerol 3 phosphate dehydrogenase, glycogen synthase, phospholipase C, phosphorylase kinase, pyruvate carboxylase, pyruvate dehydrogenase, and pyruvate kinases. In the muscles, calcium enhances the action of actin and myosin and facilitates the excitation contraction coupling. It helps in the transmission of nerve impulse from presynaptic to postsynaptic junction. It helps to secrete some of the hormones like insulin, parathyroid hormone, calcitonin, and vasopressin. Calcium also helps along with adenylate cyclase, it helps to act as a second messenger few of the different hormones. One of the example is glucagon. It decreases the vascular permeability, decreases the passage of serum through the capillaries, and clinically calcium can be used to reduce allergic exudates. It also plays an important role in the coagulation. It is known as factor 4 in blood coagulation cascade. Calcium having two positive charges bind with the negative charges of the prothrombin to form thrombin and helping in the blood coagulation. Actually, this blood coagulation, blood clotting factors undergo gamma carboxylation with the help of vitamin K, where it adds an additional carboxyl group which helps to bind the positive charges of the calcium. Factor 2, 7, 9 and 10 undergo gamma carboxylation and help in the coagulation process. Calcium prolongs systole, and most important function of calcium is it adds bulk quantity of calcium is used for the bone and teeth formation. Along with phosphorus, it forms hydroxyapatite and gives strength to the bone and teeth. Coming to the calcium homeostasis, the normal blood calcium is around 8.5 to 10.5 milligram per deciliter. In this narrow range, this calcium level is maintained by three important hormones, that is vitamin D, parathyroid hormone and calcitonin. Vitamin D and parathyroid hormones are hypercalcemic, they increase the blood calcium level, whereas calcitonin decreases the blood calcium level. Here, whenever the blood calcium level is low, it stimulates parathyroid gland, and this parathyroid gland produces parathyroid hormone. This parathyroid hormone causes calcium and phosphorus resorption from the bones. So, the more of the calcium is released from the bone and it increases the blood calcium level. Parathyroid hormone acts on the kidney and it helps to reabsorb calcium and excrete phosphorus. So, this reabsorbed calcium again increases the blood calcium level. Parathyroid hormone stimulates 1-alpha hydroxylase enzyme that is present in the kidney, and this enzyme helps to convert 25-hydroxycholecalciferol into 1,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol, that is the calcitriol. It is also known as calcitriol, which is the active form of vitamin D. Vitamin D, we can get it from food source, and also our skin can synthesize after exposure to the sunlight. 7-dehydrocholesterol will form cholecalciferol, and this cholecalciferol undergoes hydroxylation at the 25th position in the liver to form 25-hydroxycholecalciferol, and in the kidney 1-alpha hydroxylase adds one more hydroxyl group at the 1 carbon to form 1,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol, which is the active form of vitamin D, and this vitamin D will enhance the calbindin protein production, and then calbindin binds with the calcium and increases the calcium absorption. Regulation, basically here the low calcium or hypocalcemic state will stimulate the production of parathyroid hormone. Parathyroid hormone through 1-alpha hydroxylase produces more of the vitamin D, active form of vitamin D, that is calcitriol, which enhances the absorption of calcium in the intestine, and also in the kidney it increases the reabsorption of the calcium, and in the bone it increases the release of the calcium, overall increasing the blood calcium level. Calcitonin acts opposite to the vitamin D and PTH. Here calcitonin lowers the blood calcium level basically by inhibiting calcium absorption by the intestine and also inhibiting the calcium reabsorption in the kidneys, and it promotes the calcium deposition on the bones. This table compares the three major hormones which will regulate the calcium. Here vitamin D and PTH both are hypercalcemic. They increase the blood calcium level. Vitamin D mainly acts on the intestine to absorb the calcium, whereas parathyroid hormone helps in demineralization of the bone. Vitamin D increases the absorption of the calcium in the intestine directly, whereas PTH indirectly by increasing the calcitriol production and production of the calbindin. Vitamin D decreases the bone resorption, whereas PTH increases the bone resorption. Vitamin D, it manifests, deficiency will manifest in the form of rickets in the children and osteomalacia in the adults, whereas PTH deficiency manifests in the form of tetany. And vitamin D is the drug of choice used in the rickets treatment, whereas PTH is contraindicated because it causes bone resorption. Whereas calcitonin decreases the blood calcium level, it is hypocalcemic. Main action opposes the demineralization, it helps to deposit the calcium in the bones, and bone resorption is decreased, and theoretically beneficial in the rickets treatment. To sum up, we discussed about the sources of calcium. Milk is the important source and recommended dietary allowance around 1000 milligram per day is required, whereas in children and pregnancy it increases to 1200 and 1500 milligram respectively. Mechanism of absorption, basically it is absorbed in the intestine, in the duodenum through cal-binding protein, and it by the secondary by the active transport the calcium is absorbed in the intestine. And the factors that are affecting the absorption, few of them enhance the absorption like vitamin D and parathyroid hormones, and few factors decrease the absorption like phytic acid and oxalates. And most important function is it gives strength to the skeleton, and also it acts on in the process of coagulation in the muscle and nerve transmissions. And the calcium homeostasis basically by three important hormones, vitamin D and PTH, which are hypercalcemic. They act on three important organs, intestine, bone and kidney, whereas calcitonin is hypocalcemic, it decreases the blood calcium level. These are the references. Thank you for watching.